I think one of the greatest practices that was like taught to me was that emotions, there's no negative or positive emotions, they're just emotions. And the more I kind of accepted that, every time I felt sadness or anything, I didn't freak out. I was like, okay, I'm feeling this. This is beautiful. What does this tell me about myself? And just observing myself and the experience.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Listening to the Cool Table. Today we are in the cut with Neela.
Hello, what's going on? Thank you so much for having me.
This is a actually legendary interview for a reason I told you before. You are actually in the intro of
I
our show, which is so cool. And
I
you're maybe
love
one of the first voices, but you say, "What's up? It's Neela." You're listening to the Cool Table. So it's amazing we finally get to do this interview, but you've definitely been a part of the Cool Table since basically episode one.
That's amazing. I'm so proud of you. Like I just keep watching your journey as well too, and you're killing with this hosting and just connecting with so many different artists. It's amazing.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it, but this is definitely not about me. So we're not going to fall into your little games. Um, I want you to tell me about Prelude because it is kind of your coming out party in a way, second
Mhm.
time around, so to speak.
Yeah.
And I feel like you're talking some real talk on there. Why were those three songs the songs that you wanted to put together? What story do those three songs tell?
Honestly, I was in a place where I wanted to start getting more personal in my music. I think I always wanted it to be personal, but I think it takes courage to be able to do that, and it takes time and getting to know yourself. And I was grieving the loss of a good friend and just letting go of that relationship, and I came into the studio with Chin. I was like, I want to write, and I want to write make music with you. And we did a bunch of different songs, but these were the three that kind of told the story of what I wanted to just be the beginning of how I wanted people to get to know me.
I like that. I do feel like I that's a good way to explain it. I feel like I do know you more just
Yeah.
from these songs compared to stuff you put up before.
Yeah.
Um, I have a tough time figuring out which one is my favorite from the project.
Okay, that's a good thing, I think, right?
For sure, it's a good problem to have. Easy on You is probably the one that I always come back to, and
That's
I and I, and
that's
I and I'm like I wonder what that says about me that's my
I was just
favorite.
thinking that. I was like, that tells me a lot about you, the fact that that's your pick.
So
That's
so
good. It's a good thing that that's your pick too.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. So it makes people easy on you, kind of the story behind that song.
That song, honestly, it's the complexity of letting go and just also coming back to yourself. Sometimes we have these really strong, incredible connections, but we can lose ourselves in them. And I think this one was about like coming back to myself and um, also just like really being able to say, like, I appreciate the memories and everything, but I know what I need to do for myself. And sometimes it means being able to walk away from situations that are hurtful and not feeding your inner growth. And so it's the very painful thing of just having to sometimes walk away from something that you don't want to let go of.
Yeah, the key word in there is painful, and I think maybe that's why I resonate with that so much because for sure, like that's not something easy to do, and it's kind of it's a level of growth in yourself for sure to be like, okay, I got to do this. I don't want to do this. And maybe it may be hurtful. But I kind of appreciated that being on the project because, there's a lot of different stuff that's talked about in terms of love and relationships. And I think that that is something that's not always, covered enough is like that hard part of leaving and then, realizing it was the right thing. to
I know,
do.
and it's hard because it's like the words are like, let me make it easy on you, which is kind of like, I know it can be like two ways where it's a little bit sarcasm too and cheeky, where it's the, let me make it easy on you. Let me just walk away here. But it's also like, let me actually make it easy on you, and you don't have to be the bad guy, and I'll be that person because I know what's good for both of us, and at least
Okay.
for myself as well.
Listen. You're preaching to the choir right now. I was like, did I write this in my sleep? Is this me? So you're 100% feel you on that one. Um,
Yeah.
Let It Down. Why is that song important? And I have uh okay, I'm asking the right question. Oh man. I have it like in italics in my notes. I'll Let It Down. Why so tell everyone what that was, but also why that song is important.
You know, that was the last song I wrote off the EP and with Chin. And it was when I was like kind of out of the space of like grieving and letting go and like finally opening up to newer connections and just wanting to be more playful. And I think it's something that, like, I think it's very common to feel judgmental and shameful about your own sexuality and having certain desires and certain things like that. And for me, it was really about liberation and just owning up to all of the things that I was feeling and being like, yeah, let yourself feel again, let yourself open up again, and explore a part of yourself. And it was just really about just having the courage to explore a part of myself and not having shame and judgments towards myself.
Yeah, I thought of the word freedom a lot
Yeah.
when I hear that song. So just to hear you say that, I'm like, all right, I'm listening, I'm paying attention here. I'm
Yeah.
picking up what you're laying
It's
down.
just a
So
good beat, yo. Like it's got a great bass line, and I just love
that
Prelude.
bass line is cold. That bass line is cold. I was like, yeah, there's no way you let this one pass you by.
Yeah.
For sure. For sure. Um,
Yeah.
can you tell me what's different, at least personally, from when you release Love's in Danger to
Mhm.
Prelude? Like, just not the
Oh,
music, but about you
everything, the
personally.
genre, everything is different. Like my
But
sound is
more,
different.
I'm asking more about you. Like,
Oh,
where
as a
you were in
person.
your life at that point compared to where you are now.
I mean, I was clubbing when I made Lovers in Danger. That's why it's EDM, like dance music. Like, of course, I was like exploring and traveling and meeting new people and new connections. It was very much like, in high school, I was this like dorky kid. And when I like, I moved to New York City and I was like, you know what? No one knows me here. I can be anywhere, like anybody. And I think I went through this time where I was just getting to know myself in different ways and different parts of myself. And like Lovers in Danger really explores that. The sound, the themes that I talk about, it's really about yeah, like just exploring a different part of myself. And then, I go through like more serious, more personal experiences and heartbreak and things like that. And then Prelude is kind of my it's kind of a transition from the days of where like I don't want to be tied down, I'm having fun, like woo, to like and although I'm not doing myself justice there, Lovers in Danger did definitely have some like of those personal themes as well too, but it definitely was more lighter and playful. And Prelude starts to get a lot more sentimental and deeper, and I tap in more into myself for sure.
Yeah, I definitely feel like there's a more feeling of knowing you through your music.
Yeah,
With Prelude, I think it's like the test of a growth of an artist. I think it was Eminem who said this,
yeah,
that if you're a true artist, you shouldn't have to write an autobiography because everything about you should be in your music. So
yeah.
I feel like Prelude's definitely a huge kind of step in that
I
direction,
love that. I love that. I actually haven't heard that quote, but I really love that.
right? That makes sense to me, and I think about it a lot when I think of artists who I don't like as much as other artists, and I'm like, yeah, I've been listening to you for 8 years. I don't know nothing about you, so it's like, yeah, I think that's a good a
It's
good a good point of
scary.
growth.
It's scary. I can understand why that happens because it's scary to put yourself out there in your truth, and especially when your truth is so different and it hasn't been recognized in the mainstream media, then you're like, well, there's no one who looks like me and no one has my story, so like, should I even tell my story? Like, I definitely understand and empathize with that.
Yeah, and it's like it's kind of a two-edged sword in a way because I think that as a listener, I like Kid Cudi, people like that are like my favorite artists who really get into that part of
Yeah,
their lives. But at the same time, you see them actually going through. I think it's someone like Juice WRLD all the time. I used to always make this joke that we should stop buying Juice WRLD's music and have a GoFundMe for him to talk to someone because he's been
yeah,
sad for like 5 years and everyone keeps just streaming the hell out of his music.
yeah,
And then to see how things ended for him, it's like that's it is like in the middle. So it's like you like the music, you're like, oh, feel you, this is, I need this right now, but at the same time it's like you're going through it.
yeah, absolutely. I love
Mm.
that. I think it's true. I think it's, and honestly, it's just the times as well too. Like there's just so much, there's such a like awakening as a society too, and everyone just as a world is really like we're craving authenticity and truth, and that's what people want in a world that's saturated by social media and other things is and just showing our best sides. I think people deep down really do want to connect with the authentic, truer parts of ourselves for sure.
Listen, I hope so. I
I think,
I sure hope so.
yeah,
um you said the biggest mistake I've made is holding on to certain people far longer than was good
yeah,
for my mental well-being. We talked about that being a
yeah,
theme
yeah,
um, on this project.
yeah.
Talk about the feeling, whether it's a month after, a day after, when you do let those people go. What do you explain that? What that feeling is like?
Yeah. I usually go into depression. I'm not gonna lie. I feel really sad, and I think that it's because everything is complex. It's not black and white, you know? Like other people might see as like, "Oh yeah, that person wasn't for you," or like da da da, da, right? Like everyone will have thoughts and opinions about it, but deep down, you see the complexity of those kind of connections that you've made, and people are complex people. They might hurt you, but there's also memories where you have that you cherish and that you learn from and that you grow from. And I think it's just a matter of getting to a place of like honoring the hurt and anger and sadness and all of that, and then moving towards a place of like gratitude and appreciating the experience and what you've learned from it, but also creating boundaries, so that you can kind of serve your higher purpose in life. And I keep coming back to that is I think that it's really important to not suppress those emotions that you're feeling, because usually they catch up to you at some point in life, and otherwise, and it usually blows up in your face. And I think that the sooner you kind of acknowledge that you need to heal and grieve and grow from an experience, whether that be like therapy, or talking to your friends, or meditating, or creating music. For me, it's all of those things really. And the time, like, to be honest, yeah, like I feel like I honor that experience. Like I think one of the greatest practices that was like taught to me was that emotions, there's no negative or positive emotions, they're just emotions. And the more I kind of accepted that, every time I felt sadness or anything, I didn't freak out. I was like, okay, I'm feeling this. This is beautiful. What does this tell me about myself? And just observing myself and the experience almost outside of myself. And that just kind of brought a lot of peace for me, because I'm like, this is just a part of life, all the ups and downs and everything that happens. And that's kind of been the journey, is getting to a place of gratitude. I don't want to ever like, I don't, very rarely do I want to walk away from experiences and keep anger and hurt inside of me. I want to be able to let that go and forgive for sure.
Yeah, you dropped a lot of gems in there. So that's Wednesday wisdom portion. I hope you have something left in the tank. But I agree with you, wholeheartedly, especially when it comes to not carrying hate in your heart. That's like, that's I never kind of grew up that way, but to actively think about that in terms of not carrying hate in your heart for anyone, no matter what's been said, done, um, is huge. It's huge. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Damn. This is a great
I love
podcast.
this. I wish this was a two-way conversation though. I will have so many questions for you too next time. Next time
You,
we should do a
you,
segment
you,
where I interview you.
yeah, you can ask one. You can ask one at the end. You can ask one at the end. Listen. You're a cool table OG, so we'll break the
Okay,
rules for you. You get to have
okay,
one at the end for sure,
I'm glad.
for sure. If it was me being talked about, this podcast would never end. So that's a whole different conversation there. This is something that you said. I think it was a few months ago, but I thought I would ask you this again. Do you still feel like you're not reflected or seeing yourself reflected in the industry?
I think more than like I think it's growing for sure, absolutely. Do I see many South Asian like women in the mainstream music industry? Not as much as I'd like to, but I think that, starting with me, it's changing. And and I'm hopeful. I'm really hopeful for the future and the direction of the things that the way that we're going. And um yeah, and just opening more doors for everybody. And I just want there to be just really great collaborations and more just a more of a community feel too in the music industry. I really hate this individualistic competitive attitude that really pits us against each other, and I really want to also move towards creating more community in our industry.
Yeah, that's something that I've been feeling more, that we've been going outside again. And I think that's something that we need to kind of bring back. I really hope that COVID at least changed the music industry in that way in terms of advancing the collaboration. So now I'm 100% with you on that. I'm happy that you feel like you're seeing improvements, because I think you feeling like that you're seeing yourself in the industry is what matters most. Whatever you know I think is gravy, but
Yeah.
it's more important that you feel like you see the
I feel
growth.
like it's because of the circles that I've chosen to be into now, like definitely there's certain times where you get to a place where you like, because you know what the thing is, when I was super young, I was like, you know what, like I have to go on this thing and talk to these industry people, and this is how I'm gonna make it. And the more you kind of dive into the industry, you're realizing no one knows what they're doing and there's no right path to it. So might as well choose the path where you see yourself reflected and you feel safe and you feel accepted for who you are.
Preach, preach. Listen, I hope everyone is picking up the gems all over this interview. For anyone trying to make it, Neela's dropping gems for y'all.
Thank you.
Now, this question, you kind of tried to get an upper hand in answering it earlier,
Yeah.
but when artists, celebrities, when they get $100 million, we see
Yeah.
them buy exotic animals. I don't know why that happens. That feels like it's just
Give
the
me an
rules.
example. Why have I not heard of this? Who?
Mike Tyson with his tiger,
Okay, yeah,
Michael
yeah.
Jackson with his monkey,
Okay, yeah.
Justin
Okay,
Bieber with his monkey. So
yeah.
when you get to that $100 million level, is
Yeah.
there an animal or an animal that you want to be? How you said it, animal that you want to be, or animal? Because I guess $100 million you can afford that technology. So who you want to be or who you want to have?
I feel like in my past life I was a turtle.
A turtle. I
Yeah.
gotta hear this. Okay.
I don't know. I just feel like I was a turtle. And I feel like those qualities definitely exude in my personality too. I am definitely fast paced in certain ways, but I really am someone who wants to be um definitely move through the world being able to take it and be a little bit more slower and take people in and have deeper connections. And I know that if I'm in a grounded space, then if I take my time with it and I don't dive into 20 different things. Even with my music, I'm very much like that. Rather than putting out a single every month, I'm like, I'm going to make this project and it's going to be the best work I'm going to do. I'm going to take my time with it. And it's like the whole thing. It's like you take your time in the race thing, it's just like the turtle ends up actually winning the race. So I'm just like, I feel that sometimes where I'm like, yeah, I didn't put myself in go in 20 different directions, and I kind of took it a little bit slower and really was intentional with my energy. But I feel like that really works for me personally.
I think I'm gonna steal that one. You feel like a turtle. The turtle ends up winning the race. I like that one. That is an interesting answer. In a past life, you were a turtle. That, yeah, I don't, that, you said a lot, but I'm not going to forget about that for sure. That was absolutely incredible. Wow.
Amazing.
Um, they say that the top five people in your life help you be who you are. So, who are the
Yeah.
top five people in your life that help you be you? Now, your top five can be a two or it can be a 10, but who are the people in your life that help you be you?
Yeah. Oh my God. Okay, well, I think I have to be in that. You know? Like for sure. Like my
Big
company
facts.
is like who I'm with all the time and really like taking care of my body, my health, my mind. That is really important to me. My mom, of course, she's like my rock. She's like my emotional support system. And just I feel gratitude so much. Like our relationship has grown so much as well too. Um, yeah, my grandparents taught me so much about unconditional love and forgiveness. And they're actually like there's something about the older generation where I just love them so much because the traditions, the values of just being so real and being able to like slow things down and really not have to always be like that and just being able to be connected. That's something I take from my grandparents absolutely. Um I would say like my band and like one of my MDs, my musical directors, Alvin. He's like a huge important person to me and like my band and people I play with because making music to me is the most healing experience ever. And everyone I get to create music with, I'm just so all my producers I've worked with, Akil Henry, B Child, Chin, like everyone I'm just so grateful for because music is the thing that just gives me so much life and a purpose in this life. And the last one will be like my spiritual leaders, like people who give me a lot of insight, whether that's like Deepak Chopra and his meditations or Jish Shetty and his like kind of practices. Just a lot of really incredible. And my therapist for sure. I would include her in that as well. She's just supported me so much in my own healing journey and just be able to do this and I think that would be, I guess, I'm kind of leading you on to the next part, which is like the advice and like the the next part is just like really taking care of yourself and before even getting to a place of chasing fame and all these other things is really healing yourself because a lot of times people want like I feel like in the beginning, like there's a lot of things of like not feeling seen and heard in my life and feeling like I needed to accomplish this and do this and be on this billboard or that or this to be recognized and be worthy of love. And those are things you should have regardless in your life. Whether you're topping the charts or not, like you yourself are worthy in this world. And then come from a place of like what do I have to give to this world? What can I give? How can I serve the world? And then I feel like that in itself will create all the success and gems that you need in your life.
More gems dropped from our girl Neela.
Yeah.
Um, Dame Dash had this quote where he said, find happiness and you'll find wealth.
Yes.
And I've been thinking about that a lot. So we're on the same page with that one.
Good.
Now you kind of skipped ahead to the Wednesday wisdom, but I wanted
I
to
know
give you
I
your one.
didn't. I'm so sorry.
you know you couldn't
I was like, it
resist.
all kind of just melded together. It was like my
Yeah.
therapist, and I was like, oh well, now then, like,
No, you couldn't resist, but that's okay. We're gonna
yes,
end with this. You said you wanted one question, so now is your
yes.
time. You got one question.
I want to know what you said. What would you would say to your younger self? Like, what would you say to your younger self?
Oh man, I would tell my younger self that being you is the best you could do. My younger self, I was always myself, but I was like, I thought I saw people getting seen or heard that weren't being themselves, so I thought that's what people liked. So
Yeah.
I was like, okay, everyone likes the people who aren't being themselves. So then I was like, I guess no one's ever gonna like what I do because I'm not gonna do that. But now I realize how I always been was, you know, good the whole time. I wasn't crazy. So that's what I would tell my younger self, just like, being yourself will work out.
When did that transform for you? Are you still kind of going through that sometimes where you're like, you know what, be yourself? Do you ever do that, or do you feel like now you just own it?
No, I See, now you're getting two questions in. I see what you're doing here. I see what you're doing here. Um, I would say probably when I was like 21ish, 22ish
Yeah.
is when it changed. And then I had a little bit of a time recently where I was like, out of it and I wasn't sure about it. But now it's just like every time I go outside, I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
we're straight.
Thank you so much for interviewing me and for letting me ask questions. I'm excited for you to see my show on Monday. It's gonna be epic.
Oh, very no, I'm very very excited. I'm happy that you got your questions in. That's just the first time we've done this, so legendary right there. Tell people about the show because at school, this is school night coming back. This is kind
Yes.
of our first re-entry into doing live shows again. I think I went to the last school night before the pandemic.
Yeah.
So this is very exciting. So it kind of explains people what school night is and what can they expect from your show.
Honestly, it's gonna be. I think it's first of all, it's a great lineup. It's all female, powerful women, like performing on the night, and I'm like, yo, like I couldn't have been in a better lineup. It's that I'm really stoked about. And also, yeah, so having really great people and with my set, it's gonna be really intimate, and I actually share a lot of unreleased music. That's for my next EP that's coming out next year, actually, and that I'm nervous about because it's my first time performing all of these songs and sharing them with people. And if Prelude is personal, but it gets even more personal with it, with my next project that's called Exposed. And honestly, it's really about going through this intimate journey together, and I just want to create the right vibe with everyone and just be able to feel connected with everybody. And
Wow.
yeah, I'm just
In
really.
my head, I was thinking we're gonna hold hands, everyone in the audience.
If we could, like, yo, I would have been
You know,
down. Just like who? I don't. We don't even need me on the stage. We should all just be in a circle.
all have our yoga mats out.
Yeah, totally.
You sing at
No,
the
but
front.
I do bring my sound bowl, and I do create.
Oh, that's cool.
I do come from a background of meditation and stuff, so I actually do bring sound bowls, and I'm gonna be using them a part of my performance as well.
I'm excited. I'm a brand new meditator. I just started.
Okay,
Like,
amazing.
yeah, last year. So I'm not that good yet, but
Yeah,
I'm
I don't
I'm,
even
I'm at
know
least
what good and
consistent.
bad is. It's just about,
Facts.
yeah.
Facts.
Yeah.
Facts. Thank you so much for joining us. This has been an absolute pleasure. For anyone who's listening to the show for the first time, please go ahead and subscribe on Apple
Yeah.
Podcasts, Spotify. Leave us a rating and a review, 5 stars, not a single star less.
Yeah.
Follow us on Instagram at The Cool Table Live and on YouTube at The Cool Table Live. And you can
Yeah.
listen to The Cool Table every Wednesday at 11 a.m. on CJRU 1280 a.m. Once again, Neela, thank you for dropping all these gems.
Thank you. I can't wait to sing for everybody. I'm so excited.
We're very, very excited and happy to have you. And of course, until next time, know yourself, know your worth.